Dylan Becker, he just got his first invite at the Southpark PA Regional, September 22nd, 2024. We're about to go through his deck list with him.
Right, so I ended up playing Branded, went 5-2-1, and then just to get right into the list for the Albaz mentioned monsters, 3 Albaz himself, 3 Shrouded, 3 Cartesia, 2 Quem, 2 Mercurier, 1 Kit. Most of this is pretty standard, nothing super crazy. And then for the Despia monster specifically, 3 Eluber, 1 Tragedy, main consistency, and then extra recovery consistency depending on what you see. Bestials, double Sereneer, 1 Lubellion, mandatory combo piece. This also sets up lines as well, especially with Branded Fusion at 1. And then last monster in the main deck, going with 1 Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, the man, the myth, the legend that wins the games for free.
Yeah, that card's really, really helpful for the game.
Absolutely disgusting. Totally hit the wrong card. Sanctifier should have went, not Branded Fusion, but alright. And then to get into the spell and traps, starting with the branded ones first. 1 fusion, because that's all you're allowed to play. Deck runs fine with 1. You never usually open it anyway. 3 opening to help you get to it. Running 2 high spirits, it helps you get other pieces to get there. You can get Shrouded, Sereneer, and Graveyard. It's basically Branded Fusion 2. 1 lost, 1 red, 1 white. White is really good as another replacement for fusion for follow-up plays. And everything all just flows just really nicely by having the extra fusion option. And then for other consistency cards, 3 fusion deployment, this is how you're getting to Cartesia 99% of the time, and it's your main imperm playthrough. And then when you're going second, you can use it for Albaz to help break through boards. Triple Allure Darkness, you're running a lot of dark monsters, so this card is live 99% of the time. And there's some very niche scenarios with Tragedy and Mercurier that helps you get even more advantage. And then to round that off, 1 Gold Sark. The allures plus this makes the 2 Mercurier justifiable because you always have combo lines with it, but it just helps you get to certain pieces that you need at any given time. And then for the anti-hand trap package and partial board breakers, triple thrust, this is basically engine. You get Ashed on Branded Fusion, you set duplication. Going second, you can get any power normal spell you want, including talent. This card is crazy going second. You don't use it as much going first, but if you have it, you use it. And then a called by, of course, it's at 1. If it was at 3, you'd play 3, so this is all on play, so that's what we're sticking with. And then for main deck board breaker cards, triple Eclipse and triple Droplet. The crazy thing with Eclipse is it's not just a breaker, it's also a going first card because it gives you protection through imperm. Arguably, that's better against this deck than Ashes these days. And these are both just great at going first and second because it gives you extra interruption or just certain protections. And then to round off the deck list, got 1 Retribution, 1 Duplication. These are pretty self-explanatory. This helps you play more through Ash with the thrust, and then this gives you lines of play of getting cards back from the graveyard for resources or using it as an interruption while set. Main deck count was 51. Crazy number, I know, right? And then moving on to the extra deck, this is going to be all mostly pretty standard. Double Mirror Jade, double Albion, 1 Lubellion. These are your main fusers. These are important combo pieces, Mirror Jade being a main end board piece, as well as just providing a bunch of follow-up. And then we got Sanctifier. He's the main guy of the deck. He's the one doing all the locking, and there's other interactions too, but you're mostly just using him for the lock. Got 1 Titan. This comes up with a lot of combo plays, and even during their turn can create more interruptions during the end phase, or main phase 3 as we like to call it. 1 Rinbrum. This card's actually just cracked. Both graveyard field effects are just absolutely insane, regardless of whose turn it is. And then last for the Albaz fusion, specifically Albalatus. Tempai's everywhere. If they can't kill you and they have bodies on board, you just set an Albaz contact use for everything, or just Albaz effect pitch during their turn. Take all their monsters, and it's also a good follow piece. It's not as good with fusion at 1 since you're limited on the fusion normal spells, so you can search deployment as well, which sometimes comes up, but it's pretty much there almost entirely for Tempai exactly. And then for our other more specific name fusions, we got Double Dust Dragon. This card is a must play at 2 of. There's so many different lines that require you to play 2. And there was a bunch of times where I had to go through 2 in the first turn, which kind of slowed me down a little bit, but this card is just absolutely insane. And then 1 Queritus to line up the specific name fusions. This card's easy to, it's good for preventing you from getting OTK'd, and as well as just providing more follow-up on summoning an Looper or an Albaz as an interruption piece if they out it. And then for the other generic fusions, to round it off, Borreload Furious Dragon. This card's crazy into back row decks like Riddick Stun, because you can easily just pop stuff, especially in the protection window of Lost. Light and Darkness Dragon. This card was a huge MVP today. This card basically wins you the Tenpai matchup 99% of the time. There's a very specific anti-shifter line that gets you Rinbrum plus this. In almost most cases, they're not playing through it whatsoever. And then last fusion is a Guardian Chimera. Crazy board breaker piece when you're going second, as well as interruption going first. It doesn't come up all the time. I think I only made this one time today, but whenever I did make it, I was starting my follow-up turn with like 8 cards in hand, because I used Tragedy and Mercurier in hand and had a Lost up, so I just went nuts on card advantage. And then for the side deck, playing 1 Masquerade. This is specifically just for time. If you're going first game 3, you're just going to take typically Albulanatus out and put this in. That way you can just summon it with red or duplication or any other card that allows you to fuse. That way they're burning when they're trying to play through. 1 Feather Duster. I figure back row decks are going to be pretty relevant here. So, and it's also a good out for Nightmare Pain. That card's kind of a pain to deal with. No pun intended. And then monsters in the side deck for the main deck. Just triple Perulia. The only time this ever got sided in was specifically just against Yubel. That's the worst matchup for this deck, and you just need to see more breakers, because it's not like other decks where typically 1 breaker's fine. You got to see like 2 or 3, and this is to just help you dig for them. And then for traps, play triple evenly. It's just an insane board breaker in this deck, especially paired with Droplet, because if they try to interact with this, you just chain Droplet and send this. I actually did not see this once today, but it is one of the best breakers in this deck. And then I had triple Imperm. I sided this in once today, and in the instance in which I saw it, it just wasn't good. This is probably coming out for something else. I don't know what yet, but it was just 3 slots I needed to fill, and it just kind of made sense. 1 DDG. This card's crazy into the Yubel matchup. You thrust for it or hard open it, and they have a very hard time playing under this or just any other graveyard reliant deck. 1 D Barrier. Primarily just for Tenpai. You can use it against Ritual Beast as well, but usually you use this and it keeps you alive for a minimum of 1 turn. 1 Blazing Branded King. This card's crazy into your stun matchups. Anytime they have Floodgates up, you just flip this, blank them all, and then you just continue to play. And it's also just great against shifter decks, because it's basically like a searchable imprint for however many you want. It's another interrupt target for that. I never ended up siding it today because I just never ran into a situation where I needed it, but this card's absolutely insane. And then last card, just a second fusion duplication. When you're going first, you just always put a second copy in. Even though fusion's at 1, you can still use it to copy deployment, so you have a bunch of different options in using this as a follow-up card if they interrupt you, or just late grind game. It comes up all the time.
All right, sweet. What was your record?
5-2-1.
And then what was your losses that you got?
Losses was Rescue Ace, Kashtira with like a 1-age Snake Eyes package. I lost die roll, opened unplayable, and then the second game my hand was just very mid and they had full gas. And then I lost to Yubel in time to Patrick Hoban, and then I had to draw against Yubel as well.
Are you stoked to get your first invite?
Hell yeah, I am.
Anything else you want to drop on us before we end this profile?
Branded best deck, let's go!
Up.
And then just shout out to everybody on my team and everybody from our local area, all the time and practice put in. Shout out Branded Chat. A lot of the lines I learned in certain choices was all made with all the advice in mind. And yeah, thank everybody who helped me get here, and do it again.
Sweet.